So, okay, perfect. We are live now. So first, I want us to know that whatever I'm teaching you here is either something I've done, something I know, or something I have experience of while working with an AI company. So I'm going to create again a fresh new document so that whatever we do here, you guys can have access to whatever was done or whatever you need to understand. So before we kick off, how many of us here have understanding of what of NLP, NLG, and NLU? How many of us understand? It just signify if you understand what those things are, the core functionalities of what it does, just signifies. So I will know where I am starting my hard work from. Is there anybody?
Sorry, please come
Okay.
again.
If you don't,
NLP, or what do you call it?
yeah, if you know what NLP, NLG, and NLU is, what they really do, just signify. Okay, perfect. So let's start from there. I needed to ask, so I will know. So I will name this document AI and GRC live training. So let me zoom in so that we can see whatever I am typing. Zoom in. Perfect. Now, let's start with NLP. So, okay, no, let's not start with NLP. So, what is AI and GRC? So, let's start from here. First, we want to understand what AI and GRC is from the business narrative, right? So I'm coming from the business and product narrative because where you guys are as compliance officers, you guys are going to work with QA, that's quality assurance or quality testing team. You guys are going to work with software developers. You guys are going to work with product managers, even designers, right? And product marketers so that they don't go out of regulatory framework. They don't go and do things that would implicate the company on the long run. So you guys are not just working with the cybersecurity department alone. You guys are working with almost every department. Okay, I'm streaming this. I should have used that word. Yes, you guys are going to work with every department in the company. So what is AI and GRC from the business narrative, right? And that is, of course, we understand that AI is artificial intelligence, right? And we know that GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. But AI and GRC from the business narrative is simply the application of AI to help business keep their products and business activities in check with compliance and regulatory frameworks. Okay, Kule, your hand is up.
Yes, I wanted to remind you that you are not recording the classroom.
Now I'm recording, so I'm streaming directly to YouTube. So
Oh,
I'll just drop the stream link once we are done.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. So AI and GRC in terms of business is simply the application of artificial intelligence. So let me just type it. Okay, in business. This is simply the application of artificial intelligence. Just get intelligence like this. Stanley, go school, nobody go school. They gave me a stream. This is simply the application of artificial intelligence to help business keep their products, business operations. Okay, let me use to help organization or enterprise keep their products, business operations, marketing activities. Hey, how did I do this error? Sorry. Marketing activities and testing in check in order to be compliant with necessary regulatory frameworks frameworks and regulations. So enterprises. So that is what AI and GRC in business means. Now, to do this, we need to understand the core functionalities of what the global AI industry right now uses. So almost all the AI that's trending, doing this, doing that, we don't have any AGI yet. All we have is generative AI, agentic AIs. For those agentic AIs are more like sum up of generative AI, or when you build generative AI, we have to like turn them to agents. Then you might now want to ask, what is generative AI, right? So what is generative AI? Let me not assume we don't know what it is. So is there anybody here who wants to give us a definition of what generative AI is from his or her understanding? Everything I wrote here is not, this is not a set definition. I just give this one from my head. I've never Googled what this is, but this is what I understand as AI and GRC in business. So is there anybody here who wants to help us with what generative AI is from your understanding? Okay, only.
Okay, from my understanding, I think generative AI are LLM. They are large language machine
Modules.
learning that they predict an outcome based on trained data. So they can help to predict an outcome. If you ask them a question, they would give you a predictive outcome based on trained data that they've been trained with, and they are usually large LLMs.
Okay, perfect. Now let's do this. This Google Docs now, Google Docs has integrated Gemini into almost all their suites, right? So we are going to let AI answer this question to us for itself. If you're using Google Doc and you want to use Gemini in Google Docs, there are shortcuts, right? Right now I want Google Doc or Gemini in these documents. Gemini is a generative AI. Like you said, generative AI is a large language models AI trained on data, or which have pre-trained data that generates feedback based on human inputs, right? So the shortcut here is Alt and W to help us for it to help us generate what we need. So I need it to help me generate what it needs. So what is generative AI? So I've pressed Alt W, then this pops up. What is generative AI? In What is generative AI? If the in-depth analysis. So let's generative AI based on the data it has been trained on what it is answers. So now it is popping, it is thinking. I'll use this process now to explain NLP, NLU, and NLG. Now, what we have just done now is we have used a generative AI to answer our question. So, the generative AI refers to a category of artificial intelligence model that are designed to produce new and original content, right? Unlike, okay, I'm actually just joined. Unlike traditional AI that might classify, predict, or analyze existing data, generative AI creates something entirely new, whether it's text, images, audio, video, or even code, right? Like yesterday now, me and my designer, that's designer in my 9 to 5, we wanted to like quickly iterate something that the company wants to work on. So we went to the Figma file. I went to the dev mode, integrated it with VS Code, opened the code of the design. I took the React code, went to cloud, pasted it, and asked it to regenerate that page with the things I needed, pasted the copies and the structures, and it generated it, fed it back to the designer. I said, I rework this now to quickly work on the design so we can push to developers and they can get this thing ready in 2 weeks, right? So you could use it for code too. So how generative AI works, at its core, generative AI learns patterns, blah, 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 blah. But let me insert this into the document. Now we've just used this guy, right, to answer what generative AI is. Now the process we just went through where I entered a prompt, I asked it a question, it understood my question, then it generated an answer for us. That's the process where we'll come back to all of this explanation. That is the process where NLP, NLG, and NLU comes in. So I would close this guy with this line, and I will come down to NLP, NLU, NLG. So first, what is NLP? NLP is a short acronym for natural language processing. Now, you see that point where I typed in a prompt. The process where now let's go back to the core basics of computers. Computers do not understand English language. Everything we are typing here, whether it is AI, basic computing, programming, blah 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 blah, what it understands is 1 and 0 binaries. Right? So I believe most of us are familiar with that concept. Now, what happens is that there's what called high level programming language like Python, right? Python is basically programming high level programming language. Now, computer takes, then we have compilers. Compilers are what and zero, right? So compilers like this Replit is an AI generative AI. Replit was formerly a compiler for programmers, a web compilers, web IDE for programmers. Now, these AIs, they compile the information you just sent in, breaking down to 1 and 0 to feed it to the system so that the system can understand what you have just fed into it. You see that process, that process where it is breaking down the prompt you fed into it. All of this happens in micro milliseconds. That it does not take, it's not moving like you enter ATM pin. ATM pin when I ask you a question. No, these things, they happen super fast, almost at the speed of light, right? They happen super fast. As you enter it, it's processing it in 1s and 0 and stuff. That process where it is on trying to process your information into bits, 1s and 0, is what we call natural language processing. Right. Now, we now have NLU. So at this point, let me drop this one down. So at this point in NLU, right? NLU is natural language understanding. Or natural language, yes, that's natural language understanding, not natural language understand. Natural language understanding. Now, what happens here is that now the computer has processed or compiled your instructions into 1s and 0 bits, right? At this point, the system is now understanding what you asked it. So remember when I asked Gemini to help me feed, so help me answer what the question, what is generative AI, right? That point where I fed its question, it's converted into answers, then it understood my question based on what we said earlier, based on presets or pre-trained tasks. So AI are not they are not naturally creative by default. You have to train them with. So based on the data that Gemini has been trained on, or any AI has been trained on, it now understands the context. So there's what we call context prompting. So that is why some people will say, I'm using AI, but I'm not getting the result. There's what we call context. You have to make sure that whatever prompt you are giving to your AI, for it to understand it well, you have to put context to it. If you remember the live class we did the last time where we were using AI to diagnose a brand and see if it was compliant, then prepare a report to send to them, I was explaining explicitly what I wanted it to do. I was giving it context. Now, at this point, the natural language understanding, based on what I have asked it, gave context to what I asked it, and it understood my question. That is, if you remember, when I was asking it the question, I said it should give me an in-depth analysis. I could have just said, what's a generative AI question mark, and it just generates something for me. Now, when I now gave it context, give in-depth analysis, you can see that it didn't just give me what is generative AI. He explained the key components and concepts of often involved in generative AI: neural network, training data, latent space, generative adversarial network, GNs, transformers, and diffusion models, right? So you have all of these. Then you now have application of generative AI, content generation, ads, blah, 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 impact of and future, blah, 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 and stuff. Why? Because I gave it context. So the context you gave it is what we enable this guy to understand what you are asking. So NLU now stands for natural language. I will still tie the three together. Natural language understanding. Sorry. Understanding. Now we have this guy. We have understood what natural language. Please, if you are following me, please react with an emoji so I would know that you guys are here and you guys are following me. Okay, perfect. Esther is here. Ismail is here. Peter is here. Who again? Are those the only three people following me? Lobaton. Okay, Kunle, Grace. Okay, perfect. Now we now come to NLG. So remember the beginning when we enter the prompts, it first processed our English language to bytes, ones and zero. Then it moves on to understanding our question or our prompt or our command. Don't forget that computers only understand command, then they give you answers based on your command. Now it has processed our command into ones and zero. It has understood it. Now the process where it is now generating answer for us. Don't forget that the current AI you're using are called generative AI. The point at which it is generating those answers for us, haven't understood what we have asked it to do and the context at which we have asked it to do it by processing our English back to ones and zero. That process is now generating answers to us. That loop, that feedback. So it goes from natural language processing. First, you give it an input, then it goes down, it understands it. Then when the point it is now bringing back an output, where it is returning that circle, more like a nitrogen circle now, right? Where it returning the circle back out. It's what we call natural language generation. So natural language generation. That is what we call natural language generation. This is the point where it gave us this feedback. So everything we just saw here now is called natural language generation. So the whole answer this AI gave us now, what is AI and what is generative AI, this guy, right? Everything he gave us here now is called natural language generation. It understood, first it processed my instruction, understood the context, then it generated the feedback and gave us. That is where the concept or the name generative AI comes from. Do we understand that now? Before I go to perfect. Now let's put this to context. If we go to Google, now people will say, I want to use Google. No, what you are using is a search engine. The name of the search engine you are using is called Google. Now I want to explain NLP, NLU, and NLG using Google. Now, this guy now, right, if we go to, this is a browser, this is Chrome. Chrome is not Google, Chrome is a browser, right? Now, we will now want to go to a search engine, which is google.com. So now we are at google.com. Now, this guy now is called a search engine. What does it do? When you enter a query, it will go and crawl the whole worldwide website that has been cached, or the database has been cached on different servers. It has a core technology called Google RankBrain. This Google RankBrain or Google crawlers are like spiders. They will crawl the database existing across the web, across the world, across different DNS. That's CDN, sorry, across different content distribution networks, or across your own database or across your servers. As far as those keywords are there, then Google RankBrain will try to compile them using key metrics like depend on the context at which you are prompting or querying the search engine. So let's practicalize it. So I come here and say, you will see two different answers. iPhone XR. So I'm still using iPhone XR. I never get money, buy better, upgrade my iPhone. So let's stick to iPhone XR. So iPhone XR. This is not this is what we call query. Now, I want to query Google on iPhone XR. I'll just enter iPhone XR to Google. Now, this thing will happen super fast. What happened now is, immediately I entered iPhone XR, it first understood my context. I did not say I want to buy iPhone XR. So definitely, if I say iPhone XR, it simply means that I want information on iPhone XR. So what I just did is called informational query. So what it fed back to me, all this content on this page here, on this first page here, they are all information, they are mostly informational. The first ones are informational content. There are different type of content. We have informational content, transactional content, navigational content, and commercial content. Now, based on what I queried it, it understood that I want informational content. So first, even Gemini here gives me information on iPhone XR. Now, it goes to query the database across the world. Then it crawls which website has much more information about iPhone XR that will be relevant to this person searching. Then it also search based on, sometimes it will use location as a factor, it will use resources on that web page as a factor, different factors to make sure that that content is relevant to my query. That is when it is processing and understanding my query. Now it will now feed those answers back to me. That is that part where it is generating answers and feeding it back to me. Now this page you are seeing here, it has a name. It's not Google, it's not just Google page. It is called SERP, Search Engine Results Page. Now it has understood my query. It has gone to crawl various databases across content distribution networks or servers. Now it is returning feedbacks to me on Search Engine Result Page, which is this SERP. Now I have information. You can see GSM Arena. If I click on this, is informational content. Apple, camera, iPhone models, blah blah blah, Wikipedia, XR. Before you now see all of this commercial stuff, right? But most of it are informational content. If I now enter another context again, another query and say buy iPhone XR in Lagos. Now, note when I entered iPhone XR, the first set of content it brought out were informational content. Now, putting buy iPhone XR in Lagos, I'm input. You see that the answers it fed me changed. Now it is giving me commercial and transactional feedbacks. Gigi is an e-commerce platform. Toka Hub is an e-commerce platform. Then it uses Google My Business. It feeds me the closest store according to my location to me, Computer Village stores, blah, 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 blah. How many of us are following what I am doing here? Perfect. So the first context I gave it was informational search. So it gave me informational site. Now the second context I gave it shows that I want to buy iPhone XR. So it gives me every place I can buy iPhone XR, both online, physically, it's giving me the shops. Then it keeps on listing different stores for me. You can see there's nothing like GSM Arena here or Wikipedia content here or Apple content on. You can see even Facebook Marketplaces here. So every answer it gives me here now is commercial and transactional content or feedback or answers. That is the same way your prompting in generative AI works. So when you prompt an AI, it first processes your English to binary, then it understands your context, then it generates an answer for you. Do we get that before we move on? Do we all get that part now? Perfect. Now I wanted to sketch the flow for you. So Alt W, sketch the workflow of NLP into NLP into NLU into NLG in generative AI. Make it like a nitrogen circle. Now I've entered that guy. Sorry guys, just a minute. I want to quickly post something. This is Tino. Message. Okay, now it has brought out it said workflow, the generative AI. So let me just, should they refine? Calm down now. I wanted to click drop down. I did not say you should refine. Yes, just calm down first. Is there a drop down here? Elaborate, more formal. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just insert. So let's see if this answers it. Just as naturally said, cool. Okay, let's insert this. Right. So what I just entered, yeah, let's go back now. So let's bring this guy up. Say workflow, the generative AI language circle, inspired by the nitrogen circle. Just as nitrogen circle, through various forms to sustain life, language in generative AI undergoes a transformation from raw input to refined output, moving through natural language process, natural language understanding, and natural language generation. Atmospheric language, raw text input, analog. I'm not asking you to give me Greek word. Analogous to atmospheric nitrogen. Description. This is the initial unstructured and often vast amount of text or data that fits into the system. It could be user prompts, existing documents, conversations, or any form of human language. Raw data ingestion and nitrogen fixation, natural language processing. This NLP, right? Description, blah 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 blah. Atmosphere is not what I wanted you to just give me a picture. All this what you are doing is long story. So, but we all understand. So let me close this guy here and move to the next page and continue our work. Now that we've understood the basics of how AI works, then we can move on to the main cocoa. Okay. I think it's because it's on Google Doc. If I was using Gemini, I should have brought it out. But I think what I am saying here is solely focusing on text. Let me see if it will work. So add the chat. Let me see if it will work. Nah, it's text. It's text. It will bring out. Okay, let me even still insert this too. And let me reduce. Okay, let me just insert this. Let me format. Let me clear formatting. Yeah, so we can have this guy. So it's because we are using it in Google Docs, that's why it's not going to bring out that chat. So now we've understood this. Okay, let me not assume. Do we all understand this? Basics of generative AI. Perfect. So now that we've understood this, let's now go to another document. So that is basics of generative AI. Now we've understood how this thing works. How will this guy now work for cybersecurity or governance, risk, and compliance? Let's go to Google again and let's open ChatGPT. Let's open Gemini. Right. So let's open this tool and let's research. I know a conversational tool, Veloop. I work with Veloop. Veloop is one of the best conversational tool, customer support conversational tool any company can use. Not just because I work there, right? I don't think they have a match. Maybe they have a match now, but I don't think they have a match globally. The top competitors are Haptic, Yellow AI, what's their name, Infobip, but Veloop for me still way ahead. Now you see this dashboard here. I'm demoing Veloop to you now. You see this dashboard here now. What happens here is that if you deploy Veloop as a chatbot to your site, you can see this chatbot here, right? This is Veloop chatbot. This is not, they are not just chatbot stuff. It goes deep as WhatsApp AI. Not just WhatsApp AI that you'll be using once, using command like one, choose A, like those your Zenith Bank and GTB Bank. No, talking of AI on WhatsApp that you are not using selection to chat. You are chatting like normal human being. I want to just to ask a question. You give it feedback. To understand your feedback, you guys, you even ask where's the nearest ATM to give you it will ask which location. Like it will chat with you like real life customer support. You are not using select A, select B, select 1, 2. If you want that flow too, they will design that flow for you. It is totally dependent on the company. Now there's a brand or a company called Awaba. Is it Awaba? I want to remember. No, I don't want to use Awaba. What's the name of this? The biggest bank in UAE. What did I just do? Yeah, Adib. Abu Dhabi Bank, Adib. So let me remove this guy. So Adib. Yeah, this bank. This is the largest bank in Middle East and Africa. These guys use Velu for their conversational AI on WhatsApp, and it gives you seamless conversations on WhatsApp. And they deployed it well, compliance well, everything is top notch. And the reason why they are enjoying it, right? So let me use Adib and Velu. Let me see if I can pull up that case study. Yeah, how conversational AI. They have, in fact, they even have a video. They even have a video you can later go and watch. I'm trying to see if there is that AI case study. I know we used to have it on the website then. This is the long blog post. I'm trying to look for that case study. So let me click on this to see. Yeah, this is the case study. So I will download this case study and I will send to you guys later. But let's come back here. Now, this is a generative AI, Gemini. This is ChatGPT generative AI to write. Now, we have another generative AI, but this one is for customer support. Remember, we are talking about business and enterprise now. Take, for example, you are using N8N. How many of us are familiar with N8N here? How many of you are familiar with N8N? Okay, Kule is not familiar. Okay, if all of us are not familiar with N8N, just react. Like we are not familiar with N8N, just react. We don't know N8N. Okay, Busayo, Peter, Kunle, Daviel. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now let's okay, let me not use N8N. So N8N is a tool you use in building agentic flows or workflow automation used for AI for businesses. So this is N8N. So you can integrate N8N with Docker or any platform and stuff, and you can build flows. So you can go and read more on N8N, right? I will not be explaining that. You can go and read more on N8N. So let's leave that guy now. So let's focus on what we are familiar with. We are familiar with chatbots, generative AIs and stuff. Now, as a business, let's take a practical case study. Let's take our academy in Inegben as the business that wants to deploy. Okay, so it will show our WordPress dashboard here. So let me go to another Chrome. So let's take, for example, I use this guy. Console. Okay, I'm not sharing my entire screen. So stop presenting, share entire screen 2, present. Sorry, I had to like represent so you guys can see on my screen 2. Okay, perfect. So now let's go to Inegben.xyz. So we are going to use Inegben.xyz as a case study because this is our company, so that we're not going to use another company as a case study, and they will now come for our head later when they watch this YouTube video. I don't know why network is slow for this live session. So while it loads, so let's assume that all of us here, we are 13. So let's say I am head of products at Inegben, right? About 4 of you here work in software development. 4 of you work in, no, 2 of you work in quality assurance and quality and software testing. That's 7 of us now, remaining 6, right? Then 3 of you work in cybersecurity. So 1 is a pen tester, 1 is a compliance officer, and 1 is a network security officer, right? So you have three left. So let's say out of those three, one of you is the business owner, one of you is the finance manager, and one of you is the head of customer support. Now, here at Inegben, right, we cannot afford a solution like Velu, right? So we are using 3CX. Now, if you click on 3CX, you have chat with us, you have colors, right? Now, you are the compliance officer here. So let's assume we are using, so this guy does not really have a workflow stuff, like it's not as flexible as Velu. Let's say we are using Velu on our site, right? Let's just assume we are using Velu. Now, this is Velu. And let's say this is a banking solution. Let's not use it as the edutech it is now. Let's say a banking solution. And we have about 1 million banking customers across the world. But our major market is Africa, specifically Nigeria. Let's say we are now the biggest bank in Nigeria, right? Which means we have core banking technology, we have other technologies. Now, there's a lot of data moving, right? And we're talking of finance data, we're talking of personal data, we're talking of card data, we're talking of transaction data. A lot of data are moving. Now we've deployed, or we want to deploy a solution like Velu. Now, I need somebody here, a compliance person here, to give me some of the threat analysis that can be okay. So let me do it like this, since I'm using the large screen. So let me do it like this. Let me do this guy like this. Good. Now let's come back to this document. We want to deploy this solution to Inegben, assuming that Inegben is a fintech or a banking company, right? We want to deploy this solution. This is an AI solution. This is a traditional banking company. We want to deploy this solution. Now we want to use AI to assess compliance. But before we use AI to assess compliance, I want somebody here who is sure that he knows what possible threats we have to look at from compliance part, compliance, risk, and governance part. So let's now name this tab threat assessments. Threats assessment. Now, as a compliance person, give me what you think we are likely going to face as an issue. Yeah, I need you to raise up your hand if you are going to speak. I need this to be interactive. You guys are compliance here. I should be calling names. Okay, Kunle.
Okay, I just want to try. So
Yeah.
the first thing I think they should okay, sorry, are you looking for issues or compliance?
Now don't forget that there are 3 stages to your compliance. There is pre-implementation or pre-development or pre-live, before you go live.
Okay.
There is during implementation or when you are live, and there is post-implementation or post when you are live. So now we are talking of pre-implementation assessments. Now we are discussing with this company Velu. We want to buy Velu as a solution for our bank called Inegben, right? Now, before we go and give Velu money to come and implement their AI solution for us as a bank, as a compliance officer, or as a compliance specialist, or as a risk assessment, or as a risk analyst, or as a regulatory expert, right? Or as a governance expert, what are the implementation threats that you would assess for us to consider to see if Velup is a good fit for us?
Okay. So we need to from Velup side, we need to request for their SOC 2 analysis, right? Their SOC 2 analysis or certification. That's one. Then we also need to sign SLA, NDA, and so on. Then on their side, we also need to know
Hold on. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. List it to me. So first one. So okay, wait, before I do one. So pre-implementation. So this stage is pre-implementation. So so let's go down. Sorry, my screen is tiny. I will still zoom in for one. Oh yeah. You said
Okay, I said
first one, just
okay, SOC 2.
is SOC 2. So I need you to explain. You know, we are live, so some people might be watching. So what is SOC 2? Sorry. Are you there? So what is SOC 2? Or what are the things in SOC 2?
Actually, SOC 2 is just is a framework, that a third party or a third party vendor should have, right? That would help any company that is onboarding them to be able to know that they are at least to some extent compliant, and their process is compliant with and it's safe. So it takes into consideration internal auditing so that some processes aligned, right? So that you don't just onboard a third party vendor and then your critical data are exposed to their probably their APIs or and so on, right?
Okay.
So that document is needed for a third party integration to happen.
Okay. So we are just a minute. Okay, so let's just say okay. So let's remove the general coverage. Let's talk of you talked about API implementation, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes.
So API implementation threats. What again? Okay, I think Busayo's hand is up. Okay, Busayo.
Okay, I was thinking we have to check so that have they been breached before and how were they able to contain the situation.
History.
Another thing is are they without bias? Do they are they complying with the regulatory they are meant to comply with?
Okay. Compliance.
Yes, to check their compliance certificates and if they are really practicing it, because they too they will have their own GRC and containment stuff. And how when they have a breach or when the last time they had a breach, how were they able to contain it without leaking any information out, without having to how were they able to contain the information?
Okay.
And how many hours did it take them?
Okay, so uptime. Any other person wants to Davia?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So,
Good evening.
in conclusion to what she said, before you go to any AI, maybe you are trying to partner an AI, because what most companies do these days, from my research and analysis, is that they don't build their AI. Like now, we are talking about integrating AI to the study case, like you said. So,
Yeah.
many companies are doing more of plugins and integration of AI, right, than building their own. So in terms of the impact, we are going to be looking at the model behavior integrity in terms of prompting, what's it called? Prompt injection.
Okay.
So, because how do I put this?
More like more like SQL injection, how you can edge
Yes,
cases when you're prompting the system.
yes, we have to test all those things and also make
Yeah.
sure that that there's data minimization, because I found out recently that Gemini, ChatGPT, and Copilot, they collect a lot of data, which is very, very dangerous. So we have to look at how much data are entering those systems. There has to be a kind of AI monitoring system in place from our own side.
Okay, perfect.
To
So and the
it's like
AI
the third party monitoring, but more eccentric to
system
AI. Let me just put it that way. See why it is we're
almost.
using AI.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we've talked about putting checks in place for pre-implementation for the AI deployment, assuming that you are the compliance officer, right? And before this solution go live, what are the threat assessments we have to carry out on this solution? We've listed about 8 of them here, and we are going to use AI to do these 8 for a start. That is one of the major reasons for this live session. While we also
Excuse me, sir.
talk about, okay, sorry, somebody wants to say something.
Yes. If I also want to say they also have a cloud where they store their data. So
Yes.
that one too, we have to check
Okay.
their
So they are
what kind of
server
yes. Yes. And how they collect people's information.
and data management.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
There's another one.
Okay, yeah, I'm listening.
AI, what they used to call this? AI transparency. Yeah, is that AI transparent or bias? So we need
We've
quality of the
system
data.
bias. Yeah, we've already written that one.
Okay, the quality of the data. We also need to check for there's another one I've forgotten. If I remember, I'll tell you.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay, so now we have 9 stops here, right? Just a minute. Okay. So now we have 9 pre-implementation. We have to. Okay, Mr. Peter, your hand is up.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if under this pre-implementation we could add the dataset attributes. Usually with these AI systems, if the data set within an organization is different from or does not conform, to whatever application with the vendor, then there's going to be a big issue. So does that fall under the pro-implementation or what? That's also what I want to know. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about by data sets. Like,
yeah, I understand clearly.
Yeah. Thank you.
So in this use case now, that might not be. So I'm using emphasis on might not be, depending on the case. So when you're deploying conversational AI as a support solution or marketing solution, except for companies that are lazy, you are not supposed to use preset data sets. So they train the AI on your data, not on their own data. So for example, now, earlier we saw that Adib is using Veloop, right? Now, Adib cannot be using Veloop's data. Let's say Veloop's biggest client before Adib. Let's just say, assuming Veloop biggest client before Adib was UB, and UB is in Nigeria, and Adib going to be using Veloop data. Adib, Mapada was deep new. She gets the market with deep. So they train they train the AI on your own data set. So it means the machine gets to learn as more conversation happens on the platform. For example, now, let's say e-commerce or finance that we are using. Inegben is majorly in the African market, right? And for the Nigerian market, somebody comes in and say, I want transfer 2K. Now, we would have trained our system to understand that the Gen Z is familiar with the term transfer 2K or urgent 2K. So you understand that, okay, this user A wants to transfer an amount of 2,000 Naira to user B in a desired bank. Now, if we extend our offerings, if we extend our branch to the UK, we cannot go and be training data sets in UK on I want transfer 2K. We would have to, I think UK, you guys are familiar with using 50 quid, 100 quid, 10 quid. What's that slang people used to use if I'm watching your videos, right? You guys are familiar with those terms. Now, imagine I trained the AI model on our preset data here to function with the UK market. You see that the customer churn will be high, not because the AI is not effective, because we trained it on the wrong languages. Remember, we talk about natural language processing, which means is the natural language that you train the data on, that it will use to process information and understand information and generate responses. So when we deploy 2K to the UK market and somebody enters and says, I want to transfer 50 quid, the AI will just reply with error, error. Koyemi, what you're saying, Allah koyemi, because come on, it's just be bouncing back error and error. You get. So yes, that can be done, but it is use case really relative. In the case of you want to deploy ChatGPT in a creative studio, that can be applicable. For example, a creative studio will be interested in using all the data sets available on ChatGPT's database, and they will pay any amount to access that database, right? Why? So that they can infinitely create. Now, that is where that kind of thing can be used. So that's why I said it is relative to the industry, to the sector, and to the business. Do you get that now? Or do we all get that? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, okay, you're welcome. So now we have 9 pre-implementation threat assessments we have to do. Now, you want to do it both manually and automatically. If you are into software testing, there is what we call automated software testing, but that's not what we are here to do today. Don't mind me. Now, I am going to come in from the point of a product manager, right? Now, as a product manager, I would check all of these things you have brought to me as compliance officer, as a compliance person. So API implementation threats, yes, who is going to do this? Both the API developer and the pen tester, to see if the API communication or the data exchange can be breached. For example, what kind of data exchange are we using? Are we using JSON, right? All of those kind of stuff. What level of classification? What data are being mapped? And in terms of communication, what data are extractable by the AI from our platform into their server? For example, now we don't want the AI to go into our core banking technologies and go and be packing users' data and go and be putting it on a certain server in a location we don't know. So that AI, the API we're implementing, does it have those commands? Does it have those access? What's the access? What's the role access that we are giving to each of these API from product aspect? Now looking at this. 2, what's the interface like? Is it usable for our clients? Can they easily come in and stop blah 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 and blah? But right now, let's focus on the compliance stuff you have given us. Now let's go to Gemini and let's say, hey Gemini. First, I will ask it, do you know Veloop.io? I want to confirm it is familiar with Veloop.io. Now, Develop.io, so it's giving me, as I even give me video on YouTube. Perfect. So perfect. We at Inegben Finance, a fintech and mobile banking solution, want to deploy Velo as our AI enabled customer support. Support, right? To support to in order to increase our average response time to as high as 5 seconds. Sorry. Because we want to outmatch GTB, UB, Zenith, those on the even worst. Zenith, First Bank, etc. You guys are laughing. What did I write here? Increase. Oh, sorry, increase. Now I wrote increase. However, as head of GRC and compliance, we want to carry out some pre-implementation threats and compliance assessments with a focus on these 9 areas. Now, remember, you guys are the one that gave me the list, so I'm going back to the list you guys gave me, coming here, and I will copy these 9 guys. Copy, bring it to Gemini, space, paste it here. Now, I want you to operate as the compliance expert and compliance expert, pen tester, and risk auditor. So see this through. Execute these assessments. So let me copy the prompts. So I've copied the prompt I just entered. Let me take it here. So I will say threads prompt. Put it here. Okay, so let me, okay, that works. So now let's go back to Gemini. So it says so right now, let me first bring this guy to a full screen so I can zoom in and you can see it. It says, as Inegben's finance head of GRC and compliance, I will now execute pre-implementation threat and compliance assessment of value, acting as a compliance expert, pen tester, and risk auditor. My goal is to identify potential risk vulnerability to ensure the platform is a suitable and secure solution for our mobile banking needs, especially given our ambition to outperform major competitors. This assessment is based on publicly available information. A full in-depth audit would require a direct engagement with value.io, including access to their security policies, audit reports, and technical documentation. Pre-implementation threats and compliance, value.io. Previous breach history. Assessment. A review of publicly available information, including major cybersecurity news outlets and data breach lists, like those compiled by Cyber Magazine and Tech Injury, does not show any record of a public data breach specifically involving value. Now, so value already checks one of our box. So let's go back to the threats. So previous checked. So we'll do checked positive. So it checks this. Now we go back here. So we go back to Gemini. While this is a positive indicator, it does not guarantee the absence of past breach. A smaller non-public breach may have occurred without widespread media attention. So this one that is during stakeholders discussion, you request this. They are required by compliance to be transparent to you guys. So risk profile low, based on public record. Recommendation: as part of vendor onboarding process, request a formal statement from value.io confirming they have not experienced a public data breach before. In the vendor contract, include a clause requiring immediate notification of any security incidents or breaches that may impact Inegben's finance data, as well as define process for incident response and remediation. You have that. Now, system bias. Now, assessment. Value.io platform uses a large language model, LLM architecture. LLMs are known to be susceptible to biases present in their training data. This could manifest in several ways. Algorithmic bias. The chatbot could potentially show preferential treatment or discrimination in its response based on customer demographic inferred from language patterns, names, or other data. For example, it could provide less helpful or more formal response to names or language associated with certain groups. Data bias. If the model is trained on data from a specific region or demographic, it might misunderstand or misinterpret queries from customers using different slang, dialect, or cultural references. This could lead to poor customer experience or, in the financial context, incorrect information being provided. Remember when was it Mr. Peter and Mr. Kunle asked in terms of pre-data set or data sets, blah, 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 right? And we talked about this, and this, right? Now, this is what this is explaining, that this is not going to be Velu's fault. This is based on the data set we train it on. So if we are going to train it for African or Nigerian market, we train it for the data set that is speaking in lingua franca of the Nigerian audience. You want to be using 50 quid for the average Lagosian that understands urgent 2K. That will not be Velu's fault. That will be your company's fault, right? So that is the context here. Now, so if we go back to bias here now, which means since we are the one to train it, system bias, we'll put it under checked positive. So let's take this guy away. Now we'll go back to reports. Okay, it gives us recommendation. Pre-deployment test. Before going live, conduct extensive testing of the chatbot with a diverse range of mock queries. Use different names, regional dialects, blah, blah, blah. Monitoring a feedback loop. Implement a robust monitoring system to track customer satisfaction score, CSAT, sentiment analysis, and escalation rates. In fact, the Value dashboard provides you with these reports by default, actually. Pay close attention to any blah, blah, blah. Training and fine-tuning. Work with Value.io technical team to understand their fine-tuning and retraining processes. They provide you with a customer success team and a development officer that helps you do this. Now, the next one is compliance check and certification. Assessment. Value.io website and public documentation indicates a commitment to several key compliance standards. Specifically, they mention compliance with GDPR and holding certifications for ISO 27001 and SOC 2 Type 2. So for Kunle that raised SOC 2 earlier, Velup is compliant. So GDPR, ISO 27001, 2022, even ISO 27001 here, right? SOC 2 Type 2 is also, they also have those certificates. So risk profile low. The stated certifications and compliance frameworks are appropriate for a vendor in the fintech space. So if we go to that part now, we copy again. We compliance certification. So check positive. Now we go back. Blah blah blah. Recommendation. Request documentation. Request a copy of their latest SOC 2 Type 2 audit report and the ISO 27001. So this is one of the recommendation. The fact that they are checked positive, that is why AI is still giving you to request for necessary stuff. Data processing agreement (DPA). As part of the contract, a formal DPA is a non-negotiable. This document must clearly define the responsibility of both Inegben Finance and Veloop.io regarding the processing and protection of customer data. Now, you have to request that for yourself. Now, that's the part of due diligence. It's no longer them. If you do not do your due diligence, Veloop will not be held responsible for your own lack of due diligence. Uptime assessment. Veloop.io status page publicly reports a very high uptime, with recent months showing 100% availability. An average response time of 5 seconds is highly ambitious and depends on several factors beyond Veloop's control, e.g., network latency, our own system's API response. So you see that we have our own work to play now. However, a high uptime from the vendor side is a foundational requirement. Risk profile low based on public reporting. Recommendation, service level agreement, SLA. So somebody talked about SLA in the chat section. Sure, you will not sign ND, SLA, and SOC 2. You can see that it's already here. Recommendation, SLA. Veloop will by default also give you an SLA too, right? So you guys sign SLAs. The contract must include legally binding SLA that is uptime 9.9 or higher, where no company ever guarantees 9.9 or I think Veloop you 90% or higher. Yeah, Veloop gives 90% or higher. Yeah, when I was working at and outline penalties or credit I will provide if to meet this guarantee. Real monitor own independent monitoring of Veloop services and service endpoint to verify and reported uptime. So yes, Veloop has told us that their uptime is this, but we need to implement an endpoint that we cross-check. So that's the part of where checkmating them or putting them in check, just like we have judiciary and your legislative to checkmate your executive. To in a country, I will not mention the country name, that is not functional. It's you that know the country you're thinking in your mind, and I keep mentioning the country. So let's proceed. So for uptime, uptime checked positive. So we go back to here, originality of technology, assessment of Veloop. Veloop.io states that its platform is built on an LLM architecture to automate end-to-end customer service operation. They also offer no-code or low-code tools and plug-in integration with other LLMs, suggesting a high approach. The core technology appears to be proprietary, which means Veloop owns it. And yes, I can attest to that because I worked there. But it is built on standard foundations like other LLM and conversion frameworks. Risk low. The technology is original, blah, 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 blah. Now, recommendation, IP protection clause. Ensure the contract include clear terms regarding intellectual property rights. This is to protect Inegben's finance data and custom-built chatbot flows from being used to train other models. This is the part where you are protecting yourself from being expected by the platform in order to advance other LLMs that improve the operational your Yes, what we are doing here might not be functional for Adib, but what we are doing here will be functional for GTB and Zenith. So we need to put down non-computers or that people close that whatever data we are using to train our own, the platform has no right to use that data to train Zenith Bank stuff. I hope it gets that flow. But for originality of technology, checked. So where's that part? Checked positive. Then we go back. Blah blah. LLMs. This was the part where somebody was talking about transparency the other time. Request a clear understanding of whatever their model is. Blah 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 blah. Right. Prompt injection. Assessment. The pen tester. This is priority. Prompt injection is a critical vulnerability in LLM-based systems where malicious users can manipulate the chatbot instruction to bypass safety protocol An attacker could, for example, prompt the chatbot to review sensitive system information, e.g. API keys or internal IDs. 2, steer the conversations to provide false information or malicious link. 3, attempt to access or manipulate customer data by tricking the bot into using integrated APIs or in an unauthorized way. Risk profile critical. This is the single most significant security threat. Recommendation: request security documentation. So here now, there's no history of that, but it is critical. So checked, but critical. So we are going to copy this guy. So let's format the text, put it here, because there's no public stuff that we would use. So paste it here, copy this guy. Sorry, copy this guy like this. Sorry, go back. Copy, then take it back. Space, critical. Yeah, prompt injection, critical. So now you need to ask them question for this, right? Recommendation: request security documentation. Demand a detailed white paper on security brief, blah, blah, blah. Principles of least privilege. Ensure that the chatbot access to our internal system, e.g., that's what I was talking about, rules, RBAC, and what's this thing called now? Role-based security system. But it follows the principle of least privilege. Ensure that the chatbot access to our internal systems, e.g., customer database, account APIs, is strictly limited. It should only be able to perform a very narrow range of action, e.g., check account balance, and never transfer funds or change password. Right? The one that will be able to transfer funds, you will write that API strictly for that stuff and put all parameters in place to check it that it does not go out of context. You have to make sure that even you guys scope that API and check and try to use edge cases that might have been drafted to test it yourselves. Right? So somebody said request for their stress and local distribution test score. Perfect. Kule said, let's leave, I'll catch you. Oh God. So we continue. So human in the loop for high risk actions, e.g. password reset, high value transaction. Yeah, even Veloop use human in the loop. So there are some things you request for. If you check this, their AI here, you will see waiting on me, waiting on user. At this point, the user have requested for something that the AI is not granted access to. So the AI will automatically assign the chat to a live agent that is available. That's the human in the loop. So that chat will move to waiting, right? Now, that chat is waiting on that agent that is available at that time. At the point where the agent opens it and starts to interact with the customer and asks the customer a question and is waiting for the customer to give him a feedback, the chat moves to waiting on user, which means he's waiting for the customer to give him a feedback. When the user gives the feedback again, he's waiting for the agent, it moves back to waiting on me. When it is resolved, then the mark has resolved. You can see that this is their interface here. That's why I came to use them as a case study. The interface shows it here. And you can see the conversations as it is going. So at this point in time, a human has entered. You can see new message. Can you cancel my order as soon as possible? Right. So probably the human will have to ask for the order number. If it has been sent out, we have to check with the system to cancel the order, blah, blah, blah. That's where the human in the loop form comes in. So if that's the order prompt injection, we should have also added that to part of the checks actually. Now, AI monitoring systems from our side. Assessment, Veloop offers report analytics and Sparks auto QA, that's quality assurance, for quality assurance. However, relying solely on a vendor's reporting is insufficient for a critical system like customer support for a fintech. We must have our own independent monitoring. Risk profile, moderate. Now here, this is also dependent on us, right? But it is, risk profile is moderate. So put this guy here, put moderate, but it's in-house. So let me put in-house. This one, prompt injection, critical, in-house, and vendor. So we are left with API implementation threads. This one, okay, I think we've done this one. This was the first one. Yeah. This one is critical. in-house and vendor, API implementation threats. So now we are left with server location and data management. Let's go back and see. So server location and data management assessment. Develop.io's terms of use mentioned that the website is controlled from United States of America. However, for a global service, they likely use cloud providers like AWS or Azure with data centers in various regions. Data residency is a critical concern for financial institutions, especially in a country like Nigeria, where regulation may require customer data to be stored locally. Risk profile high. Now, this one now we need to check with it with Bellu. Because I've worked there, I know that they have a server in the MENA region, right? And I think it's Azure, deployed for the MENA region and Middle East and Africa, which covers Nigeria too. I think, yeah. Now, this one, we take it, of course, it is high too, right? It is positive on their end, but at the same time, we still need to do some confirmation because when I worked there, that was 2022 to 2023. I don't know what's happening there now. So you guys will now need to ask. Now we've gotten all of these details, but we still need to export our reports because yes, we have all of this ones mapped out. We still need to bring our report here. And we need to come in here, to come to Gemini. So I'm taking this guy back and I will just copy this text and take it to Google Doc and I will paste it. Oh, sorry. Then copy it. Gemini want to be whining me. Copy response now. So we come back down here, we paste it. Okay, so at this point, okay, it's no longer whining me. Now we've pasted all the response we have now. Now, as a compliance person, I am not going to say what we are doing next. Now, as a compliance person, this is now interactive again. Who here can tell me what he or she would do as a next step? Haven't gathered these details. What would be your next step of action? What would be your next line of action as a compliance person? AI has helped you to do pre-implementation threat assessment that you should take into consideration. Now, what would you do next as a compliance person? Equally say data residency and sovereignty. Yes, but now I'm asking what would be your next step? Should I, okay, let me do it like this. Let me open our name. So let me start from, as you appear on my screen. So Sophia Ntia, if I pronounce your name correctly. So unmute, please. So as a compliance person, what do you think would be your next step? Or what would you do as a compliance person now? Sophia. Nobody should drop off. We are 14 here and I've seen everybody's name. Sophia dropped off. We're done. Sharp. Okay, so next person on my list here is Busayo. So Busayo, what would you do? Yeah, Davi, I'm coming. Busayo, what will you do?
Sorry, can you hear me? Can the question be asked again, please?
Yeah, I said, since I haven't gotten this response now from AI. AI has done pre-threat assessment for us as a GRC compliance for us for this system that we want to implement in our company, Inegben Finance, right? Now, as a what's it called now? As a compliance person, what's the next step you would want to do or implement? Just, you don't necessarily have to get it right or something, but for you as a compliance person, what would be the next action for you?
Is it necessary it should be with the company or just as Inegben? Is it compatible to be with the AI we're talking about, or
no,
because we've done the assessment?
Yeah, we've done the assessment with this AI, right?
Yes.
Now you want to use AI for your next step, or you want to do something for yourself. But as a compliance person for Inegben Finance, what would you do next? What would you do next?
I have to check pre-assessment on my own company itself too.
Okay, perfect. So because now you are talking about. So explain, Sid.
Okay, so because as much as we want the AI to be a perfect fit for us, we also have to be a perfect fit for the AI. So now we've thought about things we'd like to check from there. But then from our own aspect, what are the things we need to check from our own aspect so that they will fit into our system just like we'll fit into their own system? So now
Okay.
we come down with our own just as much as they have their own certifications too. We are a finance industry. So do we have our PCI DSS?
Perfect. Okay, so
Um
I love that response. So we've done pre-implementation side, vendors on vendor side. Now pre-implementation in-house, right? So we are talking about you mentioned compliance.
yes, sir.
So Nigeria region, right? Perfect. What else do you want? Is there another thing you want to suggest before I move to the next person?
Okay. Another thing is because our AI will we also need our tech guys from our side to understand what's going on. So we might want to discuss with the shareholders to see which is what and what is which to be able to know how to
Let's
implement things. Yes.
carry you with necessary stakeholders.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, you can proceed if you have more. I'm just
Okay.
saying thank you that as you're giving me. I'm enjoying the feedback so
Okay.
that people that know that Inegben students they are solid. Okay, yeah. I'm
So
listening.
now we have to think of, because as much as we want our vendor to be perfect, like I've said, how do we educate our people on how to make use of it properly
Okay, perfect. Education
to avoid human error?
for end users. Yeah, for end user. In fact, this is even me. I was not thinking of this for end user to avoid human errors. Perfect. Perfect. Oh God. In fact, if they blow trumpet right now, before I was saying they should let me marry, that means that I can do tanyoyo and give it. But right now, if they blow trumpet right now, I'm satisfied. All of us can go to heaven. But they give but don't go and why no. I still want to do my tanyoyo. So yes, let's continue.
Yeah. So
Another thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm listening.
okay. Someone else wants to talk.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. Though Davia is the next, but I wanted to finish yours before I bring Davia up.
Okay.
I couldn't say Davia, just rest. No, Davia, if he gets things to still say. Yeah, proceed, Basayo.
Let me just let Davia, take over
Okay.
from you.
Okay, Davio, you are next.
All right. So though my network was a bit shady, but what I've seen so far that we've done with Gemini was mainly based on risk assessments,
Yeah.
basically. So as GRC analysts or compliance um, people, what we do is that after the risk assessment, because that's what we just finished doing, we have
Yeah.
to see what are those controls that we can put as treatment, rich treatments for all those known vulnerabilities that we have, because we can't have critical.
Davio, we've lost you again. We've lost your audio. Network, don't do this. I'm enjoying this class. Network, don't do this.
Those are very high scores. So we have to look at it
Sorry,
as if
Davio,
it's
we lost
something we
you
can
for some
mitigate.
minutes.
Oh,
Davio, we lost you for some minutes.
so tired of it, man. But
Network, we cast our mind.
let me continue. So we just finished doing the risk assessment. So after doing
Yeah.
the risk assessment, even from the risk assessment, we got the risk score from Gemini. So we have critical and we have high. So as GRC
Yeah.
compliance team, we have to make sure that those risks are avoided or mitigated. So the next thing is, what are those controls that we can use as risk treatment? You understand? So from there, we can also make analysis and ask ourselves, do we really need to implement this Velo, like the AI stuff? And if we are going to implement it, aside from that, if we are going to implement it, how easy is it? How user friendly is it? Because we can't just put AIs and people are not being able to use it. That's a vulnerability also in itself. So then we bringing in that AI, we need to know, okay, this AI, is it easy to integrate? Is it easy for our people using it? Like, is it easy to understand? And all of that. So after making all these findings, we have to take it to the IT teams and those that are responsible for carrying out such actions. Then see we'll now sit down and think about how can we, like, what's the treatment or control we can give to this setting vulnerabilities that we've identified. Then from there, we can have a meeting with senior management. Everyone talks about how we're going to do it. Then the resources that will be used, everything will be discussed about. Then we'll know how to make our decisions from there. So that's what I understand. I hope the network has not messed me up again.
No. We had you clearly. Stakeholders meeting on resources and budgets.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so we were, when we're asking about the AI we want to use and asking question comparison with our competitors. So I know that different banks, as it were, they have the AI that's when you ask questions, their replies, their questions customers like to ask, instead of getting a customer care on the phone, it's easy to just go to the AI and see what is what and what is which, what is the code for our company, those things. If I have so problem, I'll do it. So what are the common question? So there should be like a questionnaire out there to ask for feedback. What are the common questions you would like to ask your bank? So our AI should be able to stand in gap for when our customer service cannot be reached, or for simple question that could have been handled by our AI, because it's easier to work like that and less call, as it were. Well, the calls that will be handled will just be critical situation. And there was another thing I wanted to say. Hey, God, that big. I'm coming. Let me can remember and come back.
God, I beg.
You go next.
Well, I guess I've said a lot, because on our own side, after doing the due diligence and everything, as a financial body, we also need to be certified. So, like I said, after everything, we have to go back, have a meeting, sit down with them, and we have to work towards having some certifications too, like the ISO 42001, which has to do with all those controls and for everything. By the end of the day, we deciding to go for that certification depends on the meeting, all the analysis, the budget and everything. So we'll now know if at the end of the day we are using Velo or we are not using it at all. Maybe there are certain areas we can still, like, maybe have some kind of controls that can just at least. So that's for my own side.
Okay. I'd like to say another thing. Now we use Velo as our AI, but they are not. We still need a cloud. What's it called? Vendor that will work with when it comes to installing our document, our what's it called? Our data, as it were, unless we want to build ours, which I don't know if they would like to do that. That's another decision. If we're going to consult another vendor, so what is are we in charge of our data? Do we have a backup to our backup if our system is down? What's our
Very
70? What are 70? Is it 74? I mean 24 plus 24, please. I know go to school.
oh God. Okay, two of us, we don't complete 2 years, we no go school.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Like 3 days. Like, what is our 48? Bless you. I think it's 70 something. Well, how we get to 70? Maybe it's 3 days. 24, 24, 24. Please add another 24.
That's 72.
Oh, thank you. What is our 72 hours report on any breach? And how, if we have a breach, how are we to report it to the right organization? Because for every breach, it has to be reported back. Oh, this is the breach, this is what happened, to give a detailed information about it in order to not to avoid oversight. That's the word. To avoid oversight. And again,
Perfect.
how can each department run on their own what's this thing they call it in when you are building Cisco? How can they run on their own backup data individually without clumping up data so that everybody can have their own backup? How can each floor work with their own data, having their own
Redundancy, right?
eh?
Is it redundancy?
I don't know the meaning of redundancy. If you don't, as I don't know. But probably
It's
that's
actually
what we are thinking together, but me, I don't even know the meaning of redundancy.
that's redundancy. Having a kind of backup to prevent, I think,
Yes,
longer downtime, something like that.
yeah,
Mr. Kola Kule, sorry, should know more. He's our network engineer.
yes. Like each floor to have their own backup. Not everybody
Yeah.
have a backup in the same place to avoid overdrive of system. If that's the word. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
redundancy. No.
Yeah.
Well, probably.
Yeah. And low distribution. Yes, I guess it's okay. Perfect. So we have 11 here. Oh, I'm enjoying this class.
Me,
Wow.
get one way they never mentioned.
Okay. I'm here.
All these things that we mentioned now, how are we going to communicate with Velo? It
How
should
you
be
guys
stated clearly. Oh. Communication.
Communication.
Yes.
Communication channel.
Yes. It should be well defined.
Perfect. There was something Kule said in the chat session. So for those that didn't see it, he said we should bring police for the signing of documents too. So Allah come everybody happy. Oh Lord, where did I see you people from?
You know, it's
Okay.
critical data. It's critical data we are processing. Data.
That's another thing. Now our lawyers should be involved so that if will not occur.
No, there's no
So
that the person that recommended envelope himself, they are going to prison.
I'm the one that recommended very, so you want to carry me.
Exactly. So that our legal government will be able to run them up.
Okay, legal considerations and agreements.
Okay.
Oh God.
I wanted to
So
say
science.
something.
Okay.
But it will be in our PCI, in our compliance, because when you are doing the PCI DSS meeting, they will ask about the GitHub zero, what's it called? Zero, this one to help stop.
Zero trust.
Yeah, zero trust. Okay. How is it done? Who are the admin? I think those questions will be asked in compliance, so it does not matter in a PCI DSS meeting. So.
Okay, perfect. Hey God. In fact, I think we need to go and build HRM software so that I will go and by myself be looking for a job for you people. Job of 60,000, 70,000 pounds. So that when people get it, I'll be collecting 10%. Mama, I'll be see how this is about dropping. Bruh.
You'll bring it on.
This is my most. If there's an English like proudest moment. In case you're watching this on YouTube or you're not a student of Inegben Academy, better come and register now. We train for free at Market Small. Let's get back to what we're doing. Perfect. So we have 14 pre-implementation in-house threat analysis or things we need to put into consideration. Now, I want to use AI to get into this too. right? Again, we are trying to save time, right? So assuming we are trying to implement this in 6 months, we want to get all of this, we want to get all this analysis done within 1 to 2 months before we get into the major discussion with value and stuff. Like for what Busayo talked about the other time, that's voice over internet protocols, right? So VoIP AI, value offers it to, so you call, instead of humans picking the call, AI will pick the call. AI will greet you, you will greet AI back. You will say you want to do something, AI will answer you, right? That kind of stuff. Then you now select, okay, somebody wants to join the call. You will now tell AI what you want. So value offers it. So that's why I'm using value as a perfect case studies. Almost everything we want to talk about, value offers it. You could have said plus person that recommended value. Nobody should carry lawyer and law part to my house. So it's because I've worked there and I know their solution is steady. Where I live in a bush, people cannot track
No,
me.
we'll track you. You think we can't? All it takes is to follow you.
As if people are becoming, means I'm learning. Whoa. There's something I want to even test on you people soon. I will test it on you people, don't worry. If people graduate and leave this academy, I will test it on you people and I will send you people the details of tests. To share with me too, I am not relaxing. Yes, I'm a product manager, but I don't want to be that product manager that cybersecurity department will be threatening me like as if you know how you used to threaten people in this life. Now, let's tell the AI that great job. Just in case you become omniscient one day, I used to tell you great job, oh, don't shoot me, oh, great job. Now, let's move to in-house assessments. Now say, as the compliance lead, structure same assessments based on this 14 criteria. So go back to our Google Doc and we'll copy this. Sorry, we'll copy this. I'll take it back to Gemini. I'll paste it here. Make it as thorough as it can be for us to trace every available loophole. So we are never found wanting. So let me copy this prompt. Let me enter it. So prompt 2. So let me zoom out now. And let me go to trace prompt. So the second one I am pasting here. Oh, sorry. I need to go back and copy this guy. Copy the prompts, bring it here and paste. So this is the second prompt. Now I'm going to close this guy. Let me delete this one so I can use this one to close this guy. And we can move on. So let's go back to Gemini or Gemini, all of it, or Germany, all of the above. So now it has given us in-house pre-implementation assessments, value.io integration. So as Inegben's finance compliance lead, this in-house assessment focus on our internal readiness and the necessary actions to securely and compliantly integrate value.io. This is an operational and strategic review to ensure we have all our ducks in a row. Now, whatever this English means, I'm just hearing this for the first time. I think let me copy so means I can be speaking big English in meetings. Ducks in a row. Sorry for the diversion. No, you have things well organized. Okay, perfect. Understand it now. Yeah, so we need to have our ducks in a row. Let's move. So compliance Nigeria and certification. Assessment. While value certification ISO 27001, SOC 2, GDPR are a strong foundation, they do not automatically specify Nigerian data protection and financial regulation. The primary regulatory bodies we must satisfy are the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, NDPC, and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. In-house action plan, legal review. Our legal team must review the Nigeria Data Protection Act, NDPA, of 2023 and Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, NDPR, of 2019 to identify specific requirements of data localization, consent, and data breach notification. NDPC registration. As a financial institution handling sensitive data, we are classified as a data controller and processor of major importance. We must ensure our registration with the NDPC is current and that we are prepared to include this new third-party relationship in our annual compliance audit report. CBN guidelines. Review the CBN's regulatory framework for fintech, particularly any guidelines on IT governance, cybersecurity, and consumer protection. We must confirm that value.io services do not violate any existing or future CBN directives. That's one. Two, tech and technical review with stakeholders. Assessment. Successful integration requires a cross-functional effort. Our technical teams, back-end, front-end, and IT infrastructure must be involved early to assess feasibility and identify potential integration challenges. In-house action plan, stakeholders meeting, organize a meeting with the heads of technology, products, and cloud and customer support, right? Even, okay, technology cloud before there. API integration, the technical team will review Velup's API documentation to assess its compatibility with our existing systems. We need to verify that their API supports secure token-based authentication, e.g., or 2.0, and encrypted data transmission. Systems architecture, our IT infrastructure team must plan the secure network architecture that will connect our internal systems to the Velops.io platform, including firewall rules, IP whitelisting, and micro-segmentation. So that's giving us everything we need to do on tech and technical review. Now, for education for the end user to avoid human errors, assessment, the biggest vulnerability in any system is the human factor, and we all agree with this. If there's anybody here that disagree, don't worry. Make your case online. We'll come and watch your video. For now, we all agree with this. Our employees, especially those in customer support, you see that it brings out the loophole because it's customer support that will use it. For example, now, let's say a threat actor opens an account. This person is not actually looking to solve an issue. I will give you one of the way I can penetrate a banking system via their customer support solutions if it is not put in check. Says Busayo works in the support department of Inegben Finance. I will open an account by myself, cause an issue with a fellow threat actor, right? This time around, we are perpetrators in this threat. I'll not chat the AI up and say that I need to do this, I need to do this. It will not pass me. It's like it handles the issue or it passes me to a live agent. So let's say Busayo is a live agent. Right now, I'll not tell Busayo this, and this. Busayo will not say, okay, can you send a proof of so and so document? Right? And I will say, yes, I can. What I will do is I'll just take that document. It's still the same document. Let's say my NIN, my passport, this, whatever is needed. And I will take it to a certain tool that can help me grab data from Busayo's system once she clicks on that image. And I will input necessary parameters, write the codes on the image, download it into a file, and send it to Busayo. Now, don't forget that Busayo is a customer support officer. If Inegben Finance team, let's say, for example, let's say MoneyPoint or Kuda or OP or anyone, let's say those people did not train their support team and they are using any support framework like Freshwork, Veloop, or any tool, and you go and download that particular document, the preview will show that it is NINO. Sure, you know. I mean, of course, agree that the preview will show that it is NIN I am sending to you. Good. The preview will show that it is NIN, but that NIN I have loaded some .exe command or some corrupt stuff on it. All I just need you to do as a very loving and caring customer support person that you are, because that's what you are trained to be, is to click download. You don't just even need to open, just click download, let it enter your system. It will write the command I need it to write, and it will activate what I need to activate. How many of you saw this movie I recommended over on Sunday morning, Hacker? How many of you went to watch that movie? Perfect. Now, you saw when this guy went to the bank, wrote a script into this, what's it called? What's this rabbit flash? What's the name of those flash? What's it called? And he took that flash and imputed it into the systems in the bank to automatically put in some ransomware, right? And that was effective, even though that it was caught early enough. What I can just do, I can do the same thing with a document, write this thing, inject into a file, and send it to Busayo. Now, Busayo not being aware, not being trained on what these things are, what it can happen, downloads this file, even goes as ahead as clicking it, zooming in, zooming out, downloading into the file, saving it. You not press save as, so that you can print it out and go and give to your other department, or Busayo now download it, and probably I do it in such a way that she has to escalate that matter to probably the head of support. No, Busayo is just the customer support. Head of support, we have access to some levels. Imagine, remember, you are implementing role level security. Now, Busayo role might not really give me what I really need. So I need somebody who is head of support that to enter their system. Grab. Now, Busayo now escalates it to head of support. Head of support too. Now go and click download. Now click double tap, view, zoom in. Then I have two systems in that organization that have been compromised. Right? Now, head of support sees that this thing is giving him an error, or he or she's giving they'll probably do one or two things. Head of support now to bring in IT. Let's say the IT is on a good mood. Probably he proposed to his wife over the weekend. She said yes. Head of IT forgot security protocol and just copy the file into his own flash, plug into his own system, not just the normal system, now the core system where some things are located. And before you know, I've compromised head of support, I've compromised IT, I've compromised support department. Now I'm sitting there in their system as the threat actor, waiting to act on what I want to act on. Probably what I want to act on now is I need to call them. Probably I've done something in their network. I need to call them. I just need them to pick the call to activate what I want to do. And I will launch probably a mass DDoS attack or whatever I want to do to them, whatever I want to inject into their system, or even open a database in their system, create an account in that database, transfer money, delete the database, delete the account, delete the database, close their original database back, and I will leave there. Shall you see that I am not even a cybersecurity person? I'm just doing scenario analysis. Says that end user is always the most vulnerable point, right? So you see, all of these things can be done. So that is why educating the human part of it, the customer support and your end users. You need to also educate your end users, create videos, explainer videos. Do not share this information. Do not drop your phone if you are using so for AI, or password your WhatsApp, since the WhatsApp is where the AI is. So that another person does not pick up your phone, who knows your code, chat to the AI and transfer money. Because when we want to investigate it, what we will see is that you are the one that initiated the transaction. Probably to that person went to go and collect SIM card of a beggar, quickly open OPay, transfer the money there. I'm not an hacker. I'm just doing scenario analysis. No, I'm a product manager, so I need to think of all the worst case scenarios somebody can use to breach my system, right? That kind of stuff. So a lot of things can go wrong. So education for the end user is there. In-house action plan training program, develop a comprehensive training program for customer support agents, focusing on bots to human handoffs, prompt injection awareness, PII handling, reinforce our internal policies. In fact, this is not even enough. We need to train them on documents, download and stuff. Even the companies to put measures in place that we don't allow that support to download that file into their system. They can only view it. There should be a preview system on their core banking technology, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's one. Now, controls to be put in place as risk treatment assessment. We need to implement a layered security approach to mitigate the risk identified in initial assessment, like prompt injection and data exposure. In-house action plan, data sanitization. Implement data sanitization filter on our side. Any data passed to value.io should be stripped of sensitive PIIs. PIIs are personal identifiable information that isn't absolutely necessary for the bot function. Access control. Enforce the principle of least privilege, which is what we just talked about, where I said I can send an image, write some scripts, that will now go and download the send to support. So least privilege should be implemented. The API key provided to value.io should have the narrowest possible permission on our systems. It should only be able to perform functions like check balance and never initiate transaction. Monitoring and alerting. Configure our SIEM, Security Information and Event Management System, to ingest logs from the value.io platform and generate alerts for suspicious activities, such as unusually high number of sensitive information requests or repeated field login. This is very important if you are deploying a chatbot solution. Very important. If you are banking, if I bank or a banking personnel watching this video, please implement this. So let's get back. 5. Difficulty of implementation and technical depth. Assessment. The project's complexity goes beyond just security. We must evaluate how much time and resources the integration will consume, whether it will create long-term technical depth or not. In-house action plan. Phased rollout plan. Phased rollout plan. Avoid a big bang implementation. Start with a pilot program for a specific segment of users. So you can launch for a specific market. You can only launch both did something recently. They launched in-drive booking strategy, which is where you can negotiate price with driver. I think in Ibadan, they tested it to see if it worked for them. When it didn't work for them, they didn't rule it out generally. So sometimes you can do what we call geolocation launch, which means for product manager, they will understand this better. Like I said, I'm a product manager. So we can just pick a location and launch out this feature for that location. If you notice, when some platforms, even WhatsApp or Instagram or Meta or even Google roll out some features, they will say available to the US market, not available to people in Nigeria. So you can't use those features in Nigeria. So they are testing to get a strong hand in that region before they push back to Nigeria, right? So you can launch out to a certain location, test it, see how it is used. If you are wise, launch out in Lagos. A lot of Lagos is, look at Paystack, for example, when they launched this, their Zap Pay. For 3 years or 2 years, 2 to 3 years, they've been building and testing and compliance and everything. They didn't test the part where multiple transactions will be done, and like within 2 hours of launch, a user brought out a fault on this use case that he tried to attempt on the app. That app was not built for that use case, but the user downloaded the app and wanted to use that app for that use case. 2 to 3 years of testing, compliance, everything, and it took just took less than 30 minutes for one user to download the app and use it for another thing and say and complain that this is not working for this thing. You now be like, hey God, may we have the eyes that see, the ears that hear, and the hearts that understand. Shake the house that we have been testing all this way. We don't have sense to test this thing. It's not like you don't have sense. So like I said in our first live session last time, that you can never outsmart the user. Same thing, you can try your best to put measures in place. Threat actors are crazy. Threat actors can even act on the vulnerability of your users if they cannot get into your systems. So that is that. So yeah, so we move to stakeholders meetings on resource and budget. Assessment. To ensure project success, we need to secure buy-in from all stakeholders, including the board, on the financial and human resources required. In-house action plans, detailed proposal, prepare a detailed project proposal that outlines the total cost of ownership, including licensing fees, implementation costs, and internal labor and ongoing maintenance. If you're a fintech that launched but you don't have license, you are probably partnering with MoneyPoint to use their license because your budget, you want to launch with a budget of 20 million naira. Please, this video is not for you, because Velup doesn't ever have, I don't think Velup has anything below $5,000. If Velup wants to do below $5,000, your conversation has to be very low, right? So that's per month to not Velup is not $30 plan. No, it's not $20 ChatGPT plan. No, kids are watching this video now. You're not going to tell your CEO, I just saw a solution with that we can implement. We can do voice over the internet protocol, over call protocol too. They will call us AI, we pick the call, and talk. Okay, solutions like Yellow, Haptic, Infobip, and the likes. They are expensive, but there is one, forgot their name now. All these people, I'm just advertising them, they're not going to pay me. Well, we continue. Yeah, so you talk about budget and all of this kind of stuff. Risk and ROI analysis. Somebody measured I think it was David that said, after analyzing all of these things, is this the right time to implement this? That is what we call maturity launch, right? Is this the matured time to launch this feature? For example, you are a fintech company, you only have 1,000 users. You are now going to take a solution where you'll be paying almost $5,000 per month. Your transaction with your 1,000 users, how much are you making? But if you're a bank like UBA now, it means you have the high value, you have high volume, you have high transaction, you have high revenue. You can implement this solution easily. So you need to check risk and ROI analysis, budget allocation. Yes, even if you guys have the everything, is that budget allocated for this year, or should you start planning for the next fiscal policy for the next fiscal year? That one is there. FAQs and questionnaires for feedback, assessments. Of course, we all need to know why this should be implemented. I don't need to be explaining this one. Data management and server. Data is our most valuable asset. The location and security of our customer data are non-negotiable. In-house action plan. Data residency clause. Our contract with Value.io must explicitly state that all customer data from Inegben Finance will be stored and processed only in a country that complies with Nigerian data residency law or within Nigeria itself. Encryption at rest and in transit. Mandate all data transferred between our systems and value own platform is encrypted using strong protocol, e.g. TLS 1.2 or higher. How many of us here know the meaning of TLS? How many of us here know the meaning of TLS? Okay, one person has reacted. We don't. Okay, Davier, Moedin. Okay. If you don't know the meaning of TLS, please signify. Like you don't know it, so not that you know it, you don't know it. Signify. Okay, so I assume that all of us know it, since none of us signify. Okay, perfect. So TLS, so okay, let me see it. So transport layer security, okay, Kuli has already. So you guys can check the chat section. Kuli has already put it there. So okay, David has put it there. So if you guys don't understand it, reach out to Kunle, David, or Muide. Muide is a developer, so he even knows, he needs to know the meaning. So Muide is a developer, right? So yeah, you need to implement something like that or higher. We must also verify that all, I'm trying to remember, there's one particular data set communication that is used for modular enterprise architecture. I think that was first invented by Oracle, this their Netscape something. I was implementing a solution for a client earlier this year. That was when I came across that guy. Oh shit. Okay, I forgot it. Yeah, but we must also verify that all data stored on their servers, data at rest, is also encrypted. Now, backup and uptime assessment. Our business continuity plan depends on value platform's reliability. In-house action plan. SLA enforcement. The legal team will ensure the contract includes a strict service level agreement, SLA, with clearly defined uptime guarantees and associated penalty for non-compliance. Business continuity plan, BCP integration. Update our BCP to include a detailed plan for what to do if value service goes down. This plan should include a manual escalation process and communication strategies for notifying our customer. For example, there should be a way to manually switch live support system. You have value to help you with all of this. But let's say that once or twice in a year, that value might go and mistakenly have downtime. You should have a default AI, not a complex AI, a default AI like talk to none of this chatbot now that you have on your site to tell the users that you are not available or to quickly push to your listing. When they come to your site or whatever they are doing, whenever they chat the AI, something can quickly respond to them and say, our AI is not available to respond to you now. They kindly call this, and this, right? So you need to have such things in place. That's for backup and uptime. The 72-hour report policy to avoid oversight. Assessment. The Nigerian Data Protection Act (NDP) requires us to report data breaches to the this is 1042. Yeah, I forgot to get what I will eat this night. Okay, let's continue. So the NDPC within 72 hours of discovery. We need to ensure that value.io's incident response policy aligns with our legal obligation. So your in-house plan, you have this guy. I hope you guys know I'll be rushing now because hunger have touched me. And I just remember that I did not buy something down to it. So we have redundancy and load distribution. Assessment. We need to ensure that the chatbot service can handle our expected traffic, especially during peak hours. So what are your peak hours? Peak hours could be Fridays and salary week. E.g. now we are 28 from 26 to 5th. From my research and from my understanding from doing all of these things in support departments, conversing with people, building products, it's that 25th to 5th of the next month, which is salary week. Transactions they happen. No, so if you go and build a system that will crash under peak time, or now October 1st is Independence Day. Now a lot of staff, customer support might not be at work. People will be at home. Transfers will be happening. People will be ordering things, child deck. Lazy people like me that cannot cook, the other things. People will want to, the people that their wife traveled, that they have not been feeling it. Now they are at home, they are feeling it. Now chat their wife. Are you done with the meeting? Can you fly in today? They want to send money. So a lot of things, festive seasons. I think there was, I will not mention the bank name, but there was a bank that existed at the time that during an Easter period, they did not set up their firewall alerts for so and so. I will not give context so that you not go and say it's me that said it. Now, it is assumed, let me not say it happened, it is assumed that during this Easter time, a certain group of threat actors gather themselves in a certain room, in a certain location, and they hit the firewall of these guys until this thing was breached. And they did 10 naira transaction in the volume of 1 billion naira. Like I said, it is assumed. Don't quote me anywhere. I will not come and say I said it. It is assumed that 10 naira in the volume of 1 billion naira was done. And everything was closed back. And after the festive season, or during that, they still discovered that the firewall had been breached. They tried to mitigate, but at that time, these people have moved the money they want to move. And of course, life continued. They will not tell the public that they have breached them and collected 1 billion naira. They would have mitigated that, worked on it. What I'm saying is, it was peak time, Easter period, transactions were happening, family transaction, people that were committing sin, transaction was happening, people that were doing good things, transaction was happening, people that were trying to even buy normal tools, shopping, transaction was happening. Everything, you shall understand, transaction was going, own law, own boys going. So balance sheet, the ledger was really going. For every credit entry, there's a corresponding debit entry. That's the basic rule of finance, right? I studied accounting. I must still remember ledger. Wow, that's nice. Even if let me not talk, I'm not a bad person. Yeah, I studied accounting, in case you don't know, just that I'm not an accountant. So don't come and ask me according to management and allied acts. What's this? Or according to the International Financial Regulation Act, IFRS. Okay, I don't know nada. So don't come ask me any question. We continue. Yeah, so we're talking about load for peak hours, in-house action plan testing. Conduct a load test of developed integration to simulate peak traffic and ensure the system can handle the expected volume. I will give you a case study. I was discussing with a client yesterday. So I have a Canadian client we are working on a solution for. And we are talking about virality. And I told her that some of the things you see that are going viral, they are not viral. It is viral farms that are farming the traffic. How many of you know this song? Ubna Kamda style. Hey, sexy lady. Good. So some of us here are familiar with that song. Perfect. Now, again, don't go and quote me anywhere. It is assumed that the first 1 million view of that video across all their platform, across each platform, they crossed more than 1 million. were not humans. It was farm factory. Farm factories are factories where you buy into cybersecurity. Now you buy those kind of PCs that one PC is equal to 30 phones. You now build a farm factory, connect all of them to a database, create more like a server. And I say server, what is it call it now? What is Amazon data center? Yeah, you create something like a data center, but this time it's a farm center. You will now be, yeah, you get it, Linus like laptop. You will now be farming traffic. I mean, pushing traffic, likes, comments. If you go and watch this movie, there's a movie I saw recently. Russian government, they do it. Sorry, it is assumed that Russian government do it. Don't quote me anyway, but there's a movie for it. It's also assumed that it was used in an election. There's this movie that talks about how Trump won the 2016 election using Meta as a platform. So Meta has, to every American citizen, Meta has 5,000 data entry points. If you're a cybersecurity professional, which all of you are, you should understand the implication of that, right? So in that movie, it was said that Meta has 5,000 data entry points for every person in America. That is where data regulations are high. You now imagine in Nigeria how many data points Meta has on all of us. Let's just say our life is in Meta's hand. Let's just put it that way, right? And they use that platform to influence the 2016 election. It's all called psychographics and psychomarketing, right? So understanding all of this, you can now push them. It's not me that will teach you about things. Let's continue life. So yes, so just for those use case scenario, just test for traffic in case for DDoS attack, test again, all of this kind of stuff, right? So disaster risk recovery (DR) plan require value to provide their DRO plan, including details on how they will handle failover and what their recovery time objective (RTO) and recovery point objective (RPO) are for our data. That's that. Then communication channel with value. You guys will have to, of course, always an account manager. In fact, this was my job when I was at Value. I was an account executive. Yeah, when I was at Value. So regular check-ins, blah, 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 and blah, and blah. Then legal constitution and agreement. Of course, you guys know what to this. You guys can read through this. Zero trust policy. So assessment is zero trust model, which operates on the principle of never trust, always verify. Is crucial for a financial institution. We must extend this to our relationship with Value.io. In-house action plan. Identify and assess management (IAM). All internal access to Value platform, e.g. for agents, administrator, must be authenticated through our central IAM system. Continuous monitoring, you understand. Micro segmentation, isolate the network segments where the Value.io API integration resides. This will prevent a potential breach in the chat system from spreading to other more critical part of our network system. Another use case was what I first talked about earlier, where I could send a document via the chat system. Support can go and download it and go and load into the banking system. A head of support can go and be lackadaisical. Then IT department is now happy. Probably yesterday, the wife made him happy overnight. Now go and use Flash to copy the document and plug it to this thing. Then since you just be seeing that their system is functioning fine. Let's not say the other way. So yes, Gemini has given us compliance, risk, and audit stuff to do for in-house. Now let's paste this in the threads for in-house. So paste. Now we have done this. We have used Gemini. Now, this is just one AI tool that is helping us assessing AI implementation for our company. Now, the first time, now always remember to remove this thing. No, I forgot to remove for the first one. So let's go back up. Let's go back up. Let's go back up. Okay, I think we removed this guy here. Okay, perfect. So we have this guy now. We've done threat assessment. This is pre-implementation threat assessment. I've done this. You understand how to. So how many of us understand what we have done so far in terms of implementing AI solution for a financial technology? Okay, so I've seen 2 reaction, 3 reaction, 4, 5. Okay, the rest of us, are we here? 6. Okay, perfect. Now, I know you thought assignment are finished. No, assignment did not finish. This is a trap. This AI section is a trap. a very, very big trap. Everybody, put your hand on my chest and say, my father, may I do this assignment well, because I'm going to trap people with an assignment now. So, given that we have done this, and all of you have said you understand, so I don't want to hear, I don't understand. All of you have said that you understand. We did not use ChatGPT for anything. All right? We did not use other AI. I've used Gemini. Now, your assignment is to go and use ChatGPT, export. So I'm going to share the link of this chat. So let me, where's the, so can't I share chat? That's why I like ChatGPT. Share or export. I'm going to share the whole conversation. Will this one work for it? I'm not exporting. Share, yeah, share conversation. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So link copied, and let me copy it again for assurance purposes. So if you go down beneath the file assessment, you will see the link to the chat. So link, I put link to Gemini chat. Now you can download this whole file now as a PDF. So this is your assignment. So let me go and open the next document. If you are watching this publicly, sorry, we are not sharing this file publicly. This is for our students at Inegben. If you want things like this, join our academy. Academy is free. So you first export the pre-implementation. Export the pre-implementation documents. Sorry, pre-implementation assessments, analysis documents as a PDF from either Gemini or here in the threats assessment tab, which is this tab. You can go and export everything. So Gemini, let me link it, Ctrl K, paste, enter. So PDF is capital letter, sorry, I forgot to put that. After doing this, kindly import it to Chat GPT and perform the post implementation threats, risk, and compliance analysis in this format. 1. Threats and risk analysis together. 2. Compliance analysis. 3. Detailed table showing your recommendation using necessary frameworks, which is entirely depending on your country of residence. So I know we have about 4 countries here. I know we have Canada, US, UK, and Nigeria. of residence. 5, do a video presentation that is shareable to LinkedIn and X. Oh, sorry, that's 4. My bad. Presenting your reports. Now, 5. In this case, what can I add? What can I add? But I just did speak nonsense English. I told you people before, I did not really, okay, let me not say that thing. I'm on live session. Because this one is an assignment. Like people will not say it's my English that confused you people. So I've corrected the English. So don't go and tell me it's my English that did not allow you to do it well. Corrected my English show thanks to Grammarly. The person that came up with this Grammarly, God will bless you. You know that people like me exist. So in this case, I'm trying to see, is Tom here? Is Tom on this call? Let me see how I can. I'm looking how to set us up. Tom is not on this call. In this case, okay, make a strong case on don't worry, I will come and add this 5 later. I will go and think of what to add. But if I don't add the 5, do the 4. Right now, let's post that one there. Then okay, again, video should be in landscape. Yep. Post implementation. Try to do. So this is our assignment for what we have done so far. Now let's go. Let's do one more thing before we round up. This is 11. Can we do that one more thing now? Let's do that one more thing on the next. So we'll do part 2. Even I know you guys are rounding up this week, but we'll do part 2 of this AI call. That one is not the business side of things. This is still compliance, business side of things. So yeah, if you have questions for what we have done so far, please raise up your hand, ask me, so that we can yeah. David said chai. So we can address your questions, your concerns, and everything. Yes, if I forget, I said I will download this case study and send to you people. Get the PDF. Production manager. Inegben.xyz. Industry education. Sorry, not e-commerce. Education. Get it now. Wait, here's my official email. Sorry. Inegben@inegben.xyz. Get it now. Yeah, that's my okay. Yeah. So they sent me a copy. So when I download it, I will send it to you guys. But prior to that, let me send you guys this link so you guys can see how it was deployed for a deep. So that. Okay, so I said, does anyone have a question? Or we are all good? We all understand what we have done so far. Okay, so I'm assuming we are all good. Okay, Kunle, you have a question.
Yes, so I have a question, but not on this topic. Oh, can I go ahead?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So in our last presentation, I just want to remind you, what's the 411 with service now?
Okay, so on that one, honestly, I have found, like I said, their sandbox and environment. But I've not been able to like focus on that guy because of, I told you guys, the current schedule at work. That's my 9 to 5.
Okay.
So I have some stuff we need to set out. So once we are done at that, I will get back to sorting that out.
Okay. No issues. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I want us to quickly do one last prompt. So I want you to create a tabular presentation on, hey, I say on a sheet. English, do me this one on a sheet to present this to the whole, to present everything to the whole compliance, IT, products, support, and management team. So I just wanted to add this one so that we can remember to do this when you guys are doing your threads, prompts. So yeah, the threat assessment. I will take this one down. Close. Sorry. Close this one. I know you guys are not seeing this, but don't worry. I will so zoom in. Okay, so we are in now. So let's go back to Gemini. So Gemini has created a table for us that can be exported to Sheets. So you just click on export to Sheets. This might take a while. Why is this guy not showing me? Let me zoom out first. Okay, open. That's done that. Yeah. Perfect. So we have this guy. We don't need this rule, so we can delete this rule. Let's delete that the rule of color. We delete this color. Thank you. So sorry, that's not how to do. So put this guy. Thank you. This guy's already broad enough. This guy's broad enough. So now we are going to make this guy bold. You guys are seeing how I am presenting my findings well. People should not go and send an unstructured findings. So now you don't need to add aesthetics. Like I said the last time on call, I just love aesthetics. I like findings. You don't need to add colors and stuff. But again, it makes it much more presentable. So assessment area, key findings and risk profile, required actions, responsible team, timeline, brings everything out. Now, So we can name this compliance, or we can, okay, let's just GRC assessment area for value, or for AI, for AI for AI integration. So we have this. So let me share this, the link to this document. So anyone with the link, copy this link. Now we add it here. Sorry, let me zoom out. Okay, so link to the sheet. Share multi share by Control Z, Control Z. Oh, sorry, Control Z. Enter. So this guy is a Google Sheet. I want to see if I can bring this guy here. Yeah. So once you click it like this, it takes you to the Google Sheet. Let this guy stay one place. What is worship without your maker? Oh, sorry, I forgot that I zoomed out too. Yeah, so we have links to Google Sheets, we have links to Gemini. So yeah. So let me take this guy to the front. And let me number them. Yeah, let me put in them. Click them. Yeah, so because you would always need to create something like this eventually. How many of us agree you need to always create something like this? So that you don't go and be speaking English. All of those things we are reading, some departments don't need to understand those whole English. So you need to also understand which stakeholders you present. Some stakeholders just need high level summary. For example, now you just need to hear upfront rejection, the risk is critical because we need to mandate this is people responsible, blah 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 blah. But for the department responsible, you cannot have a meeting with them and start explaining what all of these things are. So yep, I haven't done this. Any other question? Okay. Besides, you talk about that here for outside the call. Okay. I guess that one is. Do you guys have a? I'm saying both sides. Should we quickly talk about that here or outside the call? Which one is that? So let me first stop streaming. Hold on, let me first stop streaming.
Okay.
So everyone, this thing is where is this guy? Stop streaming. Come, copy link. Stop streaming. Stop streaming. Okay. So yeah,